Today we are talking about the addictive brain, why we might chase highs, why we may be avoiding pain, and actually some simple things we can do that might help us stop.
This is Late Bloomers, where we are getting our lives together.
Eventually.
Right, so we're talking about addiction, compulsion, shame, and then getting better. A nice light-hearted one there.
Light-hearted, happy episode. But it is important to make that differentiation.
It's super important.
Because sometimes when people think about addiction, we think about the worst possible cases of heavy drug use or people unable to get out of bed. But compulsive behaviour, like shopping, eating, can be really problematic for people too.
Definitely. But even if you think about an alcoholic, like we're both alcoholics, and the way that they're portrayed in the media, like that would lead you to believe that it was somebody like waking up at 2 a.m, like necking a bottle of vodka and stuff. And it's just not, not in my experience, it's not like that.
No, it's very often normal people. How it's portrayed in the media is when people are at the absolute extreme end, and that can stop us realising that we actually need help. So when we're looking at addiction or a compulsive behaviour, it's anything that's you're struggling to stop that's making your life more difficult, that you want to stop, but you can't. And that might be shopping.
Yeah. It often is.
It often is shopping, and that can hide in plain sight. It could be something to do with compulsive relationships, sexual activity, cheating. That's a big part of it. It could be playing video games or scrolling your phone.
Oh, man. Scrolling. I bet that's probably that's a pandemic, probably.
Oh my screen time, I can't believe I'm admitting this.
Oh, are you going to say this on the podcast?
Yeah, it's like 8 hours a day.
Is that even true? Is it not more than that?
Depends what day it is, but on average it's 8 hours. Like I am
on the days you're on a flight, it's less.
I'm wasting my life on my phone, and it is compulsive, and I do wish I did it less. It's weird because I wouldn't say I was a phone addict, but maybe I am. It's the first thing I reach for in the morning. I always wanted to go and have a little lay down and have a doom scroll. If that was alcohol I was reaching for in the morning throughout the day.
I think it might be a bit different for you because you do work, like it's your job on the phone, isn't it? Like the whole everything.
If I was working, I would love to say, yeah, I'm on there working, replying to comments.
Right.
Look, I post the odd video, but realistically, I'm just reading drama on Twitter or I'm doom scrolling TikTok. Anyway, this isn't about me and my phone addiction. This is about anyone that may be struggling. So obviously, disclaimer, it may come as a surprise to our listeners to know, but we're not doctors.
No, it's not a field that I've actively pursued actually, and nor should I don't think.
We're just two idiots who've had some experience with addiction, many years now on the other side of it. And we're just going to talk about that in the hope that if you're listening and you are struggling with compulsive behaviour, maybe you'll think about it in a slightly different way.
Think of us as experts at how to mess it up.
How to mess up your entire life.
Yeah.
That's what this whole podcast.
That is what I can get behind that.
So a little run through of our expertise in the lived experience of addiction. So I'll go first.
Go on.
Classic, drugs and alcohol.
Boom.
Pretty boring, pretty like bog standard. If you're going to have an addiction, that's the one.
Yeah.
Struggled throughout my whole life. I think I started taking drugs as a teenager and drinking. It became problematic in my late 20s. I was always just like the party person. So it's always the addict who's like, get everyone going out every night, buying shots. Like, see you in an AA meeting in your 30s. Then it became even worse. In my 30s, I was drinking till blackout every night. I was using drugs when I really, really didn't want to. I was spending money I didn't have, going into debt, putting relationships at risk. So that's my first grouping. What about you? What's your first addiction?
Oh, well, I've got a couple. Alcohol, again,
Classic.
boring one. Yeah, I wasn't drinking till blackout. I never got to that stage, but it was looking back on it, it was really, really habitual. And I think that was the hardest thing to stop, which was like every day I used to joke about it. I used to open a beer when I got home from work before I took my shoes off. Like it was the first thing that I'd done. And then I would continue drinking until I went to bed. But I don't think I was drunk every day, but maybe that's just because I was always drunk, or it just took a lot of alcohol to get me drunk. I
remember you telling me when we first met that you only drank coffee and beer. Like you didn't drink water.
No, that's
the morning up till lunchtime was coffee, and then you'd work, come home and drink beer.
Yeah, not a bit. Yeah, so that proves to me that there must be water in food, because I would be dead.
There's probably water in beer and coffee.
Yeah. Not
okay, but you've also got another one.
The gambling one was, and that is the one where, right, so I said like how media portrays alcoholism, like wake up in the middle of the night, like hiding vodka in the dishwasher and drinking it and stuff like that. That is how I actually was with gambling. Like it had hold of me. I was spinning slots. I wasted all my money and all maxed out all my credit cards. And that felt like I can really relate to like something having a hold of me. But it was a real big form of escapism. Like nothing else in my entire life mattered when I was doing that. Like it didn't even exist. Not at all. I had no time. I would, rare occasion I would be on my own for the day. I would wake up at 9 o'clock, say, and I'd be gambling until 2 a.m. and the day would just like, I wouldn't even like know that it happened. It was crazy.
I guess that's kind of what it's for.
Escapism.
Ultimate escapism from life. I have another strange one. I don't even know if I put this under addiction now, but I did seek treatment for it at the time, which was sex and love addiction. I possibly see it now more under compulsive behaviour and coming from some like quite traumatic relational experiences. But I also kind of went sober from sex and love. Same time I stopped alcohol. Didn't date, didn't even hold hands for 18 months until I met you. And that behaviour, I would get obsessed with people. It was compulsive. I couldn't stop. I was often hurting people or myself. It was often inappropriate relationships. So it was very self-destructive. It was very compulsive. So it possibly does come under that banner. So yeah, we've got a few in there. And then obviously my current 8 hours a day phone use. Have you got anything currently that's compulsive?
I don't think so. Have I? Am I blind to it?
I wouldn't call it an addiction, but I would bring in food a little bit for you.
Interesting.
That you struggle, you often overeat.
Yeah.
And kind of struggle to stop. So maybe.
There's nothing like escapism than a large pizza though, is there? I mean, you know what I mean? I haven't had one for a long time, but if you've had a bad day, it's better than gambling. Big, massive, and a side. A big 20 chicken strippers from Domino's and a large American hot.
It brings you so much comfort if you're stressed. You're like, I just need to eat. I need a pizza. It's your go-to coping mechanism. So let's bring it in.
Right? Often. And it's the same with all of them. And pizza is no different. Maybe for different reasons, but I feel like shit the next day.
Yeah.
Like, but that's the same with drinking, gambling, like everything you've mentioned.
They call it borrowing tomorrow's happiness.
Yeah.
When you act on compulsive behaviour. So whatever you're doing, whether it is eating a pizza, sex, drinking, overspending, you feel that high in the moment and you pay for it tomorrow. You've just like stolen tomorrow's dopamine, then you have to deal with it.
One thing that I want to bring up.
Go on.
The next point, but I think it's interesting to talk about. Right. So I don't profess to understand addiction. I obviously have a lived experience and we've already talked about the escapism and stuff like that. And I can comfortably sort of talk through my journey of sobriety and then therapy and stuff like that. But what's really interesting, and I'd love to know if anyone listening to this is struggling and this doesn't relate to you, but I'm yet to meet or even have heard of an addict that didn't have some form of childhood trauma, because that escapism is taking them away from that. I don't think it's a chemical wire in the brain. People say I've got an addictive personality and stuff like that. I just don't buy it. I don't know. I'm obviously not an expert, but I honestly believe with everything in me that it's people because they either are unwilling or unable to deal with emotions or trauma. I honestly think it's escaping.
I mean, over the years, I've met so many addicts through kind of sobriety communities, and when you get to know them and when you hear their stories, there is always something. And you know, you were sexually abused at a young age, didn't have any emotional support for that. My house was torn apart, decades of affairs and cheating, and then my mum died. So both of our stories, there's even the word trauma, we use it so much it can almost lose meaning, but it's like a deep wound.
I don't use it
too
much.
I know, but
I think
on the
used
internet,
too much.
sometimes when we say childhood trauma, it means, on the most simple terms, you went through something a kid should not have gone through. You weren't helped through it, and therefore you do not know what it's like to live comfortable and happy in this world. I think it's so true, and I think that is the key part of any addiction or compulsion conversation, because my God, there's so much shame on addicts, but when we view it for the lens rather than what's wrong with you, why are you doing this, but like, my God, what has happened to you?
Well, and that's what, like, I'm really torn, and I don't even know whether it's an okay thing to have an opinion on or whatever. But if I think about how people start the journey of sobriety, and think about where that could take them, which is meetings, right? So I went to Gamblers Anonymous. You went to AA and SLA. So I'll speak for me. It was amazing. It was life changing. So I don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying anything bad about these meetings, and it got me to stop gambling. But what it doesn't explore is that. What it doesn't explore is the childhood trauma and the emotional side of it. Of course it couldn't. It's just a group of, it's community and it's unbelievable. But they're almost like fighting against each other.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely okay to, even though recovery meetings have helped us and helped loads of people, it's sensible to look at it with a critical lens. It doesn't help everybody. And it absolutely gets people sober. My God, I owe it everything.
Yeah, of
course.
Could have
got through it. But to go to that next level of healing, for me, that happened in therapy, actually. And it continues to happen in therapy. I think that the sad thing is not everyone has access to that, depending on what country you're in, what healthcare is provided, even if it is provided, is it adequate? And meetings are free, or you bring £1 to contribute to the church. Also, it's a place to go, an incredible first step.
I agree. What happened to me though, which is like, my brain, it's quite like matter of fact, isn't it? So I can sum this up in less than 20 seconds. What happened to me? I went to GA, cried my eyes out, felt like amazing, part of this community. Went for, I don't know, about a year, probably, maybe a bit less than that. Got to know the guys, like all men there actually, or gambling addiction. I guess women do struggle with it, but actually there might have been a couple of women there. And then it was like, wow, this has really helped. And then every week I was like part of the part of the thing at the beginning is like, you almost accept that it's a higher power and stuff like that. And my brain is like, no, I don't. So like, what else is going on? And my life was too difficult being sober with anxiety and mental health and stuff like that. So then I went to therapy, and then it all just sort of all came together a bit like a jigsaw for me. But I fully, like, I wouldn't be sober or gambling free without it. Like, it was unbelievable. But it was the next step for me. It was like, for me, it was like progress, but I don't, that's where I struggled.
Yeah, I think the same for me, maybe the same for a lot of people, or maybe some people just do meetings and are fine.
Yeah.
I guess it depends what you're dealing with. So one thing I want to talk about is the confusion of why we can't stop. So whether that is someone that can't stop overspending, that can't stop texting somebody outside their relationship, but it feels compulsive, that's on their phone 8 hours a day, or our old stories, why couldn't you stop spinning slots even when you wanted to and you were losing money? Why couldn't I stop drinking even though I hated myself? And just to bring a bit of that, so there's kind of 3 things I want to talk about. The first one is the shame loop of compulsive behaviour. And it's awful, and it's catch-22. I would go out drinking. Drink till I'm not there anymore. I'm half woman, half wine. Do something horrendous. Get in a bar fight. Run up money on my credit card. Have a huge row with my partner. Lose my keys. Whatever. Like, something horrendous always happened to me when I was that wasted, and that was pretty much every night.
You were a fighter, were you?
Yeah.
Wow. As in fist fights?
No, it never got to that, but I was like a big, like,
verbal fight.
Verbal screaming. And, oh God, awful. What an embarrassment. Oh my God. Wake up the next morning, be like, oh my God, what have I done last night? Check what I've posted on social media. Ask my current partner, what have I done? And it's always just a nightmare. I've posted something stupid. I've done something stupid, and you hate yourself. I'd fall into a shame loop of just disgust at myself. I would say I'm never drinking again. But by 4 p.m. that day, it suddenly started looking appealing again, because I didn't want to sit with the shame. I didn't know how to sit with hating myself. I only knew numbing. So you go back to it again, and then you're stuck. So you're using it when you're really in it with a compulsive behavior. You're using the compulsive behavior to stop yourself feeling bad about using the compulsive behavior. It is a paradox, and it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Does that ring true?
Oh my God. I mean, firstly, the fear and the guilt the next morning, and when you said checking your social media, I was like, I remember that. I'm like, oh no, what have I done? Who have I pissed off? Who have I had an argument with? And it's always, I relate so hard to that. And I mean, hair of the dog is the thing, isn't it? That's the whole
hair
same.
Of the dog for alcohol, but it's the same.
Oh, same for slots. Yeah, exactly the same. It was, that was probably worse for me, because it was like, I either had to sit with, you're ruining mine and my family's life, or I'm going to spin slots and then nothing else matters. That was easier.
Yeah, and you didn't know how to get out of it. I think if we knew another way, maybe so. I really hope that's what this episode is for. If you're in that kind of compulsive shame cycle, like, there is another way, and we are going to get to that at the end of the episode. Another thing I want to bring up is, people often talk about these things as problems. And I saw a great interview with Gabor Mate, who I love for various reasons. But he does a lot of work in addiction. He has an incredible book called Hungry Ghosts. And he describes it as, people say you have a drinking problem. Actually, you have a drinking solution, a gambling solution. The problem is what that is the solution to, which is pain.
Yeah.
Unprocessed pain that you might not even be aware of. But to really understand we're doing our best. When I was drinking every night, that was a solution to my anxiety, my emptiness, my self-loathing. 2 or 3 drinks in, I got to feel normal. In fact, I got to feel quite happy. Looking at my compulsive phone use now, I feel comforted. If I do it for too long, I feel like a zombie, but I get it's a solution to not having to maybe do work. I use it as work avoidance.
Especially if it's something that you're worried about or that is going to be difficult for you. Yeah.
So it's my solution, and I imagine it was your solution.
I'm 100%. Oh, I didn't know what it was a solution to until I stopped, because I didn't have the tools or understanding. But like, I can now say it's my solution for just anxiety. But like all the time, I was constantly anxious.
But it's a solution that comes with a high price.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that really helps in shame reduction, when you can understand it's your very human way of trying to make yourself feel better, trying to stay alive, actually.
Yeah.
Compulsive behaviour helps us stay alive in the short term, and then unfortunately you come and deal with it. And then look, the final thing, why we can't stop, and this is really hard to explain if you haven't been there, so I'm going to use a really like wonky analogy, okay? If you are a fish, you don't know that you're in water because you've always been in water. That's your whole world. Like, we can look at a fish and be like, that guy's swimming in water. But to the fish, that's his whole world.
When you said, if you're a fish,
yeah,
I didn't hear anything you said after that, because in my head, I was, remember that song last year? It was like, if I were a fish and you caught me, you'd say, look at that fish shimmering. Yeah, sorry, come on. So
such a good one. Can't believe that you got co-rook, I think that is. So a fish doesn't know they're in water because it's the only thing they've known.
Yep.
Someone who is an addict or using compulsive behaviours doesn't know what a happy life looks like without that, because they've never had it.
They think that is their They think that is source of happiness. I did.
That is happiness. For me, I would look at, I was going to say kind of like well-adjusted, happy people. I would look at us. Old me would look at us and think we were so boring, and just be like, that life isn't for me. That's boring. That's ordinary. I need the high life. We're not taught to value what lovely, calm communication, safety is. We know so many addicts have childhood trauma. So we believe that a normal life is horrible and won't bring happiness. So we seek it elsewhere. And that's one of the saddest things that childhood rubbish and trauma takes from people, is the ability to realise that actually a boring, safe, happy, love-filled life is the most fulfilling thing that we can have.
But when you don't know that, right? So I'm not glamorizing gambling at all. It ruined my life. But when you like hit a feature or get a big win, like as at the time in my life, there was no feeling like it. There was nothing that compared. So that was my like class A, I suppose. And that's why I suppose the escapism, chasing that dream, I didn't know what, the alternative was to just be unhappy. So it's like cheap fake happiness that you get.
Oh, that you buy and you risk your life with. And I think, and this is the tougher part of this conversation, you don't go from someone who has deeply held beliefs about happiness, life, being boring, that they have an addictive brain, that they need to chase highs. You don't go from that from someone who is suddenly really happy and content.
No.
In that normal life. That can take years and you have to fight for it and you have to learn. I had never felt it until I was with you, until I was in therapy. I had never felt what it meant to just be normal and to just be okay.
Yeah.
And that's quite sad. And feel intimate. I guess it's feeling intimacy, closeness. I'd always just thought all that stuff was disgusting.
Yeah.
Because I'd had a bad example of it.
Well, that seamlessly leads us on to maybe the last subject of the podcast today, which is like, how do you change? Because there is definitely greener grass on the other side.
Yeah, there is.
So let's talk through how, disclaimer, it's properly not easy, is it? Like, it just isn't. It's amazing, but it isn't. And the first step for me is almost the hardest, which is admitting to yourself that there's a problem, because you don't want to. And yeah, if you talk about alcohol and how the media portrays it, you could be like, well, I'm not waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning drinking, so I'm fine.
It's also, for me, if I admit there's a problem, I'm going to have to stop, and I am never stopping. This is my best friend, my most enjoyable part. Like, I will never, ever, ever be a person that doesn't drink. So I can't be a problem drinker. So I think a lot of us live in denial about the fact that we may have a problem with something because we cannot fathom giving it up. So I think that step of like, oh my God, this is messing with my life. I may have to look at this. It's so hard and it is so brave. And when you do that, you've turned the tanker around. You're starting to go the other way, but it's not easy. And I commend anyone that is able to look at themselves that honestly.
And then, of course, once you've done that, the first steps, I suppose, what do they look like?
I mean, I feel that any sort of addiction grows worse in secrecy. It's very often a secret, shameful thing. So you hide it. You don't think nobody can find out. You do it secretly. That adds to the shame, and you end up just building like a prison of secrets and shame around your compulsive behavior. And you believe that no one will ever love you, that you also will never be able to give it up. That's lies. That's lies of struggling with it, telling somebody, sharing it, asking for help. And that might be a friend, it might be a recovery meeting, a different type of support group, a family member, a therapist, someone that's safe. But that moment when you say, I'm doing this and I'm scared for my life, or I'm scared I can't stop, it just, shame like evaporates when it's shared. And again, it's so difficult to do. And I think that's one thing that meetings do really well. People do share. You will hear other people sharing their most shameful things. You get to share yours and not be judged. And I think that's where it can be so, so helpful for like breaking the shame loop. So yeah, tell someone.
And I think just to add to that as well, if today's day you're going to stop drinking, stop spending money, stop eating. Well, don't stop eating, but you know what I mean. It is almost, don't look at it like a long-term decision. Look at it as a today decision. I think that really helped me, because it's too overwhelming to be like, I'm never doing this again.
It's like you set yourself up to fail. It's like, I'm going to work out every day for a year and run a marathon. It's too much. One day at a time. Yeah. Get your support and walk through it. I've got one like final question just to end us on, which is just something for people to think about whether you are dealing with addiction or compulsive behaviours, to really look at it with understanding and compassion, and just ask the question, what is it that I might be numbing or running away from? Because if you can reach through your self-hatred and your compulsions and reach through to what is it that I don't want to feel, that allows you to understand that you might need a bit of help, some work, some compassion, and you'll start to make sense, rather than just seeing ourselves as like awful, bad humans, which a lot of addicts do when they're active. So thanks for listening.
Another light-hearted episode of Late Bloomers for you.
listen, we never said it was always going to be lighthearted. We said we were getting our shizzle together, and that's what we're trying to do. We really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give us a follow, a like, subscribe, leave us a comment if you're sober. We'd love to celebrate that with you. If you're struggling, please do let us know, and we really hope to see you next week.